Live well now with Dr. Lauren.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Dr. Lauren Powell, board certified family medicine physician. And you're here, you're in the right spot, you're tuned into the right channel because I have some useful information that I want to share with you. What if I said that the reason why your blood pressure is uncontrolled, the reason why your blood sugars are all crazy, the reason why you eat well, exercise, but still can't lose that stubborn belly fat is because of your sleep. On this episode of Live Well Now, I'm going to be teaching you about your quantity and your quality of sleep and how that really affects all these metabolic biomarkers that we've been talking about: inflammation, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, and weight. So stay tuned. This is an important episode. I know that you know that I know that there's someone that you need to share this episode with. So go ahead and like and share and be sure to do that. So when we don't get enough sleep, or we're getting enough hours of sleep but the quality of sleep is bad, it can affect so many things. It can cause your blood sugars to rise. It can cause your blood sugar to rise. It can make that blood pressure very, very resistant, meaning you take medication, you do all these things, and for whatever reason, your blood pressure just won't budge. It can cause changes in your hormone level, specifically cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And what happens is that causes some issues with weight and other hormonal dysregulation, and it makes it very hard to have changes or improvements in your weight. Despite all the efforts, despite doing all the things, it becomes very, very difficult. And so over time, you'll notice, you can check this in your blood work. You can check inflammatory markers like CRP, and you'll say, why is my CRP so high? And these changes that you see in lab work, this doesn't happen after just, one or two bad nights of sleep. I'm talking about, prolonged life patterns of having poor sleep quality and not enough sleep. So then you're asking me, well, doc, how do I know if my sleep is good or not? How do I know? Oftentimes we get so used to sleeping how we sleep, we don't know if it's good or bad. We just know that this is how I sleep. So I ask simple questions like this. I'll ask my patients, do you fall asleep okay? Right? You should fall asleep easily. It shouldn't take you hours to fall asleep. You shouldn't be, rolling around in the bed, looking at the ceiling night after night, unable to fall asleep. You should stay asleep. You shouldn't fall asleep and then have all these nighttime awakenings. That's not normal. When you wake up in the morning, your alarm goes off, or you wake up by whatever normally wakes you up in the morning, do you feel refreshed? Or do you feel like you didn't sleep at all and you need to go back to bed? When you wake up in the morning, you should feel well and you should feel well rested. And so sometimes when I ask my patients these questions, and they'll say, doc, well, I don't sleep well. I have a hard time falling asleep, or I fall asleep okay, but then I'm up multiple times a day. So then, it's not just about do you sleep well or not, but then why? Because sometimes there's human factors that are affecting our sleep. For many women who are in the perimenopause and menopause state, they're having a lot of vasomotor or hot flash symptoms at nighttime. And so they're not sleeping because they have periods where they have just body dysregulation with their temperature. They're hot, then they're cold, they're turning on the fan, they're doing all these things, right? And so that tells me the problem necessarily is that you have a problem with your sleep. Your problem is this hormonal dysregulation, which is causing issues with your sleep. Sometimes we have things like grief. We have loss, family loss. We have stressors at work. Maybe some people work really stressful jobs. They think about their jobs a lot. It keeps them up at night. They wake up, they worry, they wonder, did I complete something? Did I finish that? Did I respond to that email? And so that's another separate thing that's driving their poor sleep quality. And so that's really what we need to be addressing. And if we fix those things, then that will hopefully translate into their sleep. And then sometimes it's a life season, right? I remember that when my child was small, those multiple nighttime awakenings, being sick. I remember shortly after I gave birth at the end of January, and then in May I got COVID, and I coughed for about 3 months after having COVID. And for those I slept horrible. I would look at my Apple Watch at the time, and I would see all these, I just could not sleep well between the baby waking up and then I was coughing all night. I just didn't sleep for months, and it was due to illness. So sometimes there's life things, sometimes there's seasonal things as to reason why we're not sleeping and not sleeping well. What I also want to say is you want to make sure you're giving yourself enough time to sleep. Most people need 7 to 8 hours of sleep to have, get through all the sleep cycles, to have good cognitive function, to have everything well balanced. Sometimes we need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And if you're only allowing yourself 4 to 5 hours, I don't care if those are 4 to 5, wonderful, good quality sleep. It's just not enough. And I find this a lot, honestly, with my patients that work nights. I oftentimes have patients who work nights, but are also trying to live in the daytime like they didn't work at night. So they're trying to do all the things in the daytime as if they didn't just work an 8-hour shift overnight. And so when I ask them, well, how many hours is set aside for sleep? I'm not saying where you take a nap here, you take a cat nap here. How much time is allowed for sleep? Because us who work in the daytime, we allow hours to sleep at night. You're working at night. And so what hours are you allowing yourself in the day? And sometimes I had a patient yesterday tell me, well, I give myself 4 hours. That's just not enough. It doesn't matter what supplements you take, what sleeping pills you take, how much B12 you take for energy. If you're not allowing your body enough time to actually sleep, if you're not dedicating and putting aside enough hours for it to have sleep, you're not going to feel well. So let's be honest about that. So another way to say, is my sleep a problem? I don't really know. So there's some things that you can do at home. There's some things you can do at home, just to kind of some preliminary things as you investigate and collect more data to have conversations with your doctor. There's the Epworth Sleepiness Scale. We use this a lot. And it's basically a scale, it's a questionnaire, and we ask questions about, do these certain activities, how likely are they to fall asleep? How likely are they to experience daytime sleepiness with these different activities? And we score them from 0 to 20. The total is scored from 0 to 24. Higher the score, meaning more daytime sleepiness, and obviously a cause for concern. Well, and it includes different situations like watching TV, reading a book, having a conversation, driving, and we'll rate how likely is it, how likely are you to fall asleep during some of these activities. Sleep trackers. Sleep trackers are great. Now, they're not going to diagnose any sleep disorders, but I do think they provide some really, really valuable information. And let me tell you one of the most valuable things that I learned from my sleep tracker. I have an Oura ring that I've had now for about 2 to 3 years. This finger, not this finger, this finger. And what I learned is how much alcohol influenced my sleep. And once I saw having amazing sleep scores, and then, one evening having a cocktail or having a glass of wine, and how it just completely disrupted that for me was enough for me to just not really want to drink anymore, because honestly, I just felt like it wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth me not feeling my best, because I had so much responsibilities. I have so many things that I'm trying to do. I don't have time to not feel well because I had a drink the night before. So oftentimes my decline in an alcoholic beverage is because I just don't want to risk it disrupting my sleep. So I think wearables are really great because you can really see how different things and behaviors and things that you do throughout the day, maybe the time that you ate dinner, the time that you did a workout, the time you had caffeine, to really see how that's affecting your sleep. And then, my Garmin watch also does some great sleep data. Apple watches are great as well. There's that new one, the Whoop strap, which kind of also feeds back into your recovery and basically how you engage in physical activity the day before. So again, if you have any concerns about your sleep, I want you to talk to your doctor about it. It's nothing to have a conversation about it, to just ask your doctor what they think. Tell them a little bit about the more information you can give us, the better. So telling us, how long does it take you to fall asleep at night? Is that a stressful thing, trying to fall asleep? What is your nighttime routine? When is the last time that you eat something? When do you turn off your devices? What is your sleep like at night? Are you waking up, and how do you feel in the morning? Have a conversation with your doctor, because you guys, there's simple things that we can change. I remember I had an older patient who told me that he was using the bathroom the whole night. He was like, I'm up all night using the bathroom. And I was like, And I said, well, when you wake up and use the bathroom, is there anything else that you do? And he's like, well, I wake up, I use the bathroom, and I drink a glass of water. And I thought, well, this is why you're waking up all night, because every night you're drinking something while you're sleep, in between sleep, and that has to come out. And so I said, stop drinking when you eat dinner at 6 o'clock. And it completely changed things for him. So sometimes it's just having these conversations. There's things that we can kind of flag and hear when you're sharing what your sleep is like. And then of course, you guys, now we have so much amazing technology where we can do sleep studies from home. There's companies that we work with, and we work different sleep medicine doctors as well. And you literally can do a sleep study at home where it gets the kit, you hook yourself up, simple instructions, it gets Bluetooth to your phone, you go to sleep, you wake up, you submit the data, the sleep medicine doctors can interpret that and can give you some recommendations. Sometimes we do have to do sleep studies still at centers, but that's okay too. Still provides really, really great information. Now I want to talk about sleep apnea and snoring. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Snoring is not normal. I don't care if you snore. I don't care if your mom snores. I don't care if your kid snores. I don't care if your cousin snores. I don't care if everyone in your family snores. It's never normal. I think we've normalized it, but it is not normal. It is not normal to sleep. It is not normal to snore. Snoring is not genetic. It is not genetic. Just because everyone in the family does not mean that it's normal. And so if you're someone that wakes up and you're gasping, if you hear yourself snore, if the person you sleep with says, hey, you snore and you make a lot of weird noises, that's something I really want you to take serious. Sleep apnea means periods of apnea, not breathing. It would be like at night, if while you were sleeping, somebody took you and put your head in a bowl of water and kind of drowned you, and then took you out of the water and then told you to go back to sleep, and then did it again all throughout the night. So you can imagine if you had periods throughout the night of your 7 to 8 hours of restful, restorative time where your body's supposed to be repairing itself and your immune system is supposed to be strong. If you had periods where you were drowning throughout the night, there's no way your body would feel refreshed and well in the morning. It's just not possible. So if you're having periods of snoring, there's no way you're sleeping well. And it could be that you've been snoring and sleeping like this so well that you don't know you can feel better till you do feel better, because it's just what you become accustomed to. But it is very dangerous. I can tell you that sleep apnea, not breathing while you're sleeping, can cause very serious problems to your brain, to your heart, to your gut, to your immune system, to your hormones. It's very, very, very serious. And I've shared this before. My dad has had very bad snoring for decades. I remember being a kid and him snoring really, really bad. And then obviously as I got older, it became, so bad where we would be able to hear him no matter where you were in the house. Like you could hear him, you could be on another floor. And he never wanted to go to the doctor because to his mind, he was sleeping fine and there was no problem with what he's doing. Until he was in the hospital one time. And we're in the hospital, they hook you up to all kind of things. They've got your heart on telemetry, they've got a continuous pulse ox, and they were seeing his oxygen saturation drop in periods where he's not breathing. And then he developed this abnormal rhythm called atrial fibrillation, a very serious rhythm that puts you increased risk for strokes. Very serious. And so, then he went and got it, finally was convinced then to do a sleep study, uses a CPAP, feels like he sleeps like a new human being and feels like, why did I deny myself of this for so many decades? And I can tell you guys, I can tell you, it would have been way easier to just manage sleep apnea if we had treated it 20 years ago than to now be managing atrial fibrillation and sleep apnea. Atrial fibrillation, which has happened, I'm convinced, as a consequence of having so many years of untreated sleep apnea. And so that's why I tend to be so serious with you all, because I don't want you to wait until things are catastrophic. I don't want you to wait until something really, really bad happens to take an opportunity to talk to a doctor, to talk to a medical health professional, to see if there's areas for improvement in your health, including your sleep. I want to give you some stats about obstructive sleep apnea. It's estimated that 32% of adults, that's people 20 years and older, have obstructive sleep apnea. And that's over 80 million people in the US. So this is very common. This is not something that's so rare and so strange. So don't feel any kind of way if that's you. But I find what's more striking is that 90% of adults with obstructive sleep apnea, what's more striking is that 80% of adults remain undiagnosed and untreated. So if you don't know you have it, then you can't do anything about it. Older studies say that that's really kind of 90% of people are undiagnosed and untreated. More current studies say 80% of the cases. So that's really, really dangerous. It's really dangerous for 80% of the people to have a condition that they don't know that they have and are untreated. And then I definitely have patients who know that they have it. They've been told they have obstructive sleep apnea, but don't want to wear a mask. And so I can say that treatments have come a long way. Now there's other things that we can do if you cannot tolerate a mask. But what I can say is, as annoying as a mask may be, that may take some time to get used to, I could tell you what's worse than that is having elevated glucose, insulin resistance, uncontrolled weight gain, uncontrolled blood pressure, and chronic inflammation. I can tell you 100% you do not want those things. You do not want those things. Our metabolic health is the foundation of so much of our health. It is, strong predictor of it is a strong predictor of chronic disease. And you don't want to wait until you have some diagnosis to then kind of go back and try to improve these things. If your blood pressure is uncontrolled, I need you to be looking at not just your nutrition, not just your exercise, but your sleep. If your weight has been difficult to control, I want you to look at not just your nutrition, not just your exercise, but your sleep. If your blood sugars have been uncontrolled, if you have any scale, if you're anywhere on the spectrum of insulin resistance, I want you to not just look at your nutrition, your exercise, your sleep, but also I want you to look at not just your sleep, not just your nutrition, not just your exercise, not just your stress, but I need you to also look at your sleep, okay? No matter what condition you have, we're trying to not be, our goal is not that you are not sick. Our goal is that you are optimally well. And so I need you to consider your sleep with everything, any health condition, any preventative measure. I don't want you to overlook it. I don't want you to normalize something that is not normal. I hope this episode was really, really helpful for you guys. I want to share with you another tool I have that may be helpful for you. And it's called the Live Well Now app. The Live Well Now app. And if you go to livewellnowapp.com, it's going to be a place where you can put in some of the metabolic data that we've been talking about. You can get some feedback on your score. Things you'll need to enter would be your weight, your height, your waist circumference. We're going to talk about that later and why that's important. Your blood pressure, your blood glucose, some other biomedical, as many markers as we ask for. The more you give it, the better the data, obviously. But I want you to put it there so you can know where you're starting as you're on your health journey. And this is not a substitute for medical information. This is not a substitute for you meeting with your doctor. This is just a tool to help you as you work with your doctor to optimally be well. There's going to be daily tips on there. There's going to be lots of cooking videos. Some of the videos you're seeing here. There's just going to be things where you can try to understand numbers and data very well, because I believe an educated patient is the most powerful patient. So I hope this was helpful for you. Please like, subscribe, share this with someone I know, that I know, that you know, that there's someone that needs this information. Again, you have a mission. You have something that you're set and purpose to do in this world. And I want to make sure that you're healthy so that you can do that. This is Dr. Lauren Powell. This is Live Well Now. I'm praying for you, and let's do it. Take care. See you on the next episode.